Hello, welcome to Revive and Rise. I'm your host, Melody Parrish, and I want to thank you so much for being with us today. I am so excited. We've got a very special guest. It's Leanne Pritchett, and she is a special education teacher, and she is going to share her knowledge and expertise with us today. And Leanne, I want to thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. I'm very, very excited to be here. It's always nice to reach out to people. So I appreciate the invite. Thank you.
Yeah. And so, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Absolutely. So, yes, I'm a special education teacher. As you said, I school's always been very challenging for me. And I was diagnosed as having learning disabilities when I was 5. Um, and so this pretty much started me on my career path of special education because I know firsthand what it's like to have challenges in school. And I was the kid that no teacher believed in. My parents did, God bless them, but not teachers so much. My parents being from Canada, I am Canadian American, yay. um, in Canada, private schools, you get a better education. My mom didn't realize here in the States, and it's nothing against teachers, I am one myself, but there's usually less training involved for private school teachers here versus public school, which is interesting. But um, so my mom had me enrolled mostly in private schools because she was hoping that would be a better education for me. It really wasn't. And thank goodness at the age of 5, my mom noticed there was something wrong with me. I'm thinking of that terminology now. I don't know if wrong with me, but she noticed that I was having some difficulties. Let's put it that way. I like that terminology better. That because with specific learning disabilities, you're not neurotypical, and you have issues other than just reading and writing. And my mom was noticing, and I still have some of these issues today. I would drop things a lot. My body had a hard time coordinating everything together in terms of walking, in terms of zippering, in terms of buttoning things. So she was very, very concerned. And luckily, she was referred to a therapist who I saw and did a bunch of tests. And the therapist had some behavioral tutors working under her. And I saw these tutors from the age of 5 until 17, all the way through school, till college. And thank God, because if it weren't for them, I don't know if I would have been able to read and write. Really, I could hear some sounds, not others. Let's say the word cat, I would hear the CA and not the T, or I would reverse it and I couldn't always associate. Ooh, I'm about to cry. Memories come back, y'all. Uh, wow, I didn't think I would. It's been a long time. Um, Letter names with letter sounds and quote the basics. It was very, very difficult for me. And yeah, thank God I had these tutors that got me through. And my parents' belief in me. Oh, geez, Louise, I'm sorry. Like totally crying. But I don't know where I'd be without them, really. They never gave up because they knew I was not, they knew I was a smart child. They just knew that I needed help and they weren't sure where to turn. So they found the right help for me. And as I stated, this helped me with my journey because I always wanted to give back. Even at the age of 13, after my bat mitzvah, I started teaching in my synagogue. I was an instructional assistant. And that really started me on my path. When I got into college, I wasn't sure which way I was going to go. I knew I wanted to help, I wanted to teach, but I wasn't sure where. So originally, I when I went for my bachelor's degree, I was like, "Gosh, this speech therapy thing sounds kind of cool." Okay, and I'm not gonna lie, I almost flunked out of school my first year. I thought speech therapy sounded good, but I didn't quite understand it. And to be honest with you, I didn't understand my classes. I was trying, and I was like, "Whoa!" And I don't know why, but I never asked for help. I never went to student services, which looking back, I wish I had, but okay. However, I I talked to the school and I told them what was going on, and they let me retake that whole year. Like I came back the next year, retook all my classes and went from F's to like B's basically because I got help. Uh, Went through, made it through, got my bachelor's in speech therapy or what's called communicative disorders. Back then, that's what they called it at San Francisco State. So I got out of college, and again, I wasn't quite sure, do I want to still get my master's in therapy? Because you need to have your master's degree to be a practicing speech pathologist, because that's where you do your clinic and you see people. And I wasn't quite sure. So I took a break, went into the working world for a while. But I still taught at my local synagogue in San Francisco up there, just that going. And gosh, been teaching off and on for years in different respects. 20 actually so 2006 I started as an instructional assistant in Sacramento. I lived there until last year, until 2024, and I liked it in the special needs classroom. I really liked it a lot, and so that's what started me along this chain because I was an instructional assistant for years. And when I was in Sacramento, I went back to school to be a speech language pathology assistant. So I still have my license for that, but I'm not practicing, but I still keep the license. In case I ever want to go back, I want to keep the door open.
Yes, yes.
And I liked it, but again, it didn't really have that hook for me. Like I was like, all right, I have this license, but yeah, okay. Like I wasn't fulfilled. I didn't feel good about myself at all. So in 2015, God, 10 years ago now, dear God. Okay. So I'm like, where's time going?
I know, right?
Yeah. But okay. So fall of 2015, I went back to graduate school at San Francisco State and decided I wanted to be a special education teacher. It was actually pretty cool because when I applied at first, I was like, maybe I'll become a speech pathologist. And that program was really impacted. But what was cool is I got a letter from the head of the special education department at San Francisco State saying, all right, we're impacted in all these other programs. I'm really inspired because I wrote to them in my essay about what happened in my bachelor's and how it was a struggle. And they're like, we're very inspired by your story. We want you here, but we don't know where you want to go, like which department. And I'm like, that's a good question. I don't know. And the head of the vision department actually reached out to me from San Francisco State, and I met with them. And I'm like, wow, this teacher of the visually impaired, orientation mobility, which helps with the white cane guide dogs. I'm like, that's really cool. Okay. And I liked it. And I went back. And the girl who could barely get through in her master's degree, I graduated with a master's, 2 teaching credentials, and I had a 3.86, 3.87. Like, it was just amazing the difference. Yeah. And because this time around, I met with people I need to meet with to get help at student services. And by the way, anyone in college, please do student services if you need it, because they're amazing and they helped me. And it was like really great. And I was very straightforward with all my professors this time around. And so, yeah, I've been working with the visually impaired population 2018. And I love it. They're the coolest. As much as I teach them, they teach me, I think, triple.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah. And they're a very kind community, a very welcoming community. So it's been a win-win all the way around. And yeah, I'm really happy the way my life has turned out now. So what started out as a struggle for me has actually been a blessing in disguise. And if you'd asked me as a kid if this was a blessing, I would have been like, no. you know, but because I had some challenges as well, not socially, and I didn't have a heck of a lot of friends. Um, so there's a lot of that too, but it's really given me an insight and helped me a lot with my teaching. So it's turned out to be a good thing in the end, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love what you've said. Like
Yeah.
you're talking and I'm just like, oh my God, I want to ask this and I want to ask this.
Yeah, I'll go for it. Yeah. Yeah.
So you were talking back, and I read your bio that you sent me, and you said that in school you always knew that you were different.
Yes.
And I'm sure there are so many people that are listening that either in school,
Yeah.
when they were in school, or now
Right.
that they're in school, they probably feel that I'm
Yes.
different. I don't know how I fit in,
Yeah.
So can you talk a little more about
Yeah. Sure. It's interesting to me because, and I am answering your question, I swear. Being a teacher as long as I have, right, in the communities and special needs populations, people always assume that if a child's nonverbal or a special needs, that they're not going to know, that they're different, or they're not going to feel it. We all feel it. I don't care if you're like me, where you're considered in the mild to moderate area of special ed, or if you're in the moderate to severe, which is very medically fragile. I don't care. And you feel it inside. Now, you may not be able to verbally express it, but because even and even if you're not sighted too, okay, because all right, so if you're sighted, you look around and you look at your peers, and you do, as much as we hate to admit it, we all compare ourselves to something, to someone, somewhere, like some BS standard, whatever. We do. And little kids, oh my God, they're sponges. They're such sponges, right? They pick up on everything. And especially if you have a sibling. Now, I love my older brother. I have two. I have one that's 2 years older than me. And he got into every Ivy League school in the United States except for one. And he was like the golden child in school, like and my brother's a good person, don't get me wrong. But you grow up with that and you see, wow, school's so easy for my brother. And then you compare it and you go, wait, he got that within 2 seconds. I have no clue. And it's in your head. You compare it, whether it be with sibling, whoever. And why the heck we do this, I don't know. Why we hold ourselves to stupid, ridiculous standards, but we all do. And we all have it there. And again, someone might be, oh, well, someone with severe brain damage. Yeah, they do. Too. And especially kids. Now, yeah, that being said, some kids who are born with certain things, like let's say really severe autism or whatever, even, and again, they pick up on a lot too, nonverbals. They do more than people realize, but they're also accepting of who they are to a degree as well. When you're born, like your arm is hooked and you can't do something much. So like on the one hand, that, all right, my friends can do that. However, I can't. But on the other, a lot of the times they find a way to adapt. Not always, but they will, or be like, okay, well, he opens the door this way. I open it this way. So it's a very interesting dichotomy that way too. But yeah, you may not be able to express it. I was a very angry child. I still remember this when I was 5, and I would get angry at my mom, and I didn't know why. And I remember we were at an outing somewhere, and I was really mad at her. And I think it was just all my anger, just because I knew I was different and I didn't know how to express it, but I could feel it. And I just ran. I mean, ran. My mom's just standing there talking to friends. I just ran up to her and started kicking her out of the blue for no reason, right? Like I had to get that anger out. So it's there, and that's why it was really good. My tutors were also behavioral tutors. So again, they looked at the whole person, not just the school aspect.
Right.
And so they were through art and through different activities they had helped me, get all that out. So it wasn't just balled up inside. But yeah, every kid, I don't care who you are, every human. I mean, we all, we all do. We all have stupid comparisons, and it's crazy, but we all do it, no matter who you are. So yeah, kids, yeah, they pick up on a lot. Like I would tell a lot of my TAs this too. You don't realize it, but they watch everything you do. I mean, like you think they could be reading a book, look, their side vision, whatever. They know what you're doing. They see. So that's why I'm like, don't think you're scot free. You're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, kids do that. But
Yeah.
so do older people as
Oh
well.
yeah.
And I feel like you say, we have some kind of standard, and
Mhm.
it's interesting to me because we always say, well, they said this, well, they said this, well, they
Mhm.
want us to do this, but who is they?
Hey, yeah.
You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah, exactly.
it's
Exactly.
I just don't understand, but I'm guilty of that too, you
We
know.
all are. Yeah. Yeah.
But but I love that you talk about things that you did and
Mhm.
things that people showed you how to express those emotions and
Oh yeah.
art and those kind of things. So when you were having your art
Oh,
therapy,
yeah.
was was that like painting? Were you actually told to like draw your emotions or paint your emotions? Or
Oh yeah.
how,
I don't think I realized it at the time, but actually, because I had a hard time too, they kind of combined it a little bit. It was pretty cool now that I think about it. I didn't understand where my body was in relation to basically like your orientation, right? Like what I do now, like where your arm is out here, or where it is, like if you like put it to the right or hold it out to the left. Like I couldn't quite get that concept. So they combined it. They had me. I had this in my garage for years. I wish I still had it. My parents did. They had me lie down. They traced like my body outline, and then decorated it. Like I could decorate it any way I wanted with any colors I wanted. Did I want to add like tissue paper, like tactile stuff? Did I want to glue stuff? And we would do a lot of murals. Like we would walk outside and make like an art mural and do stuff from things we collected outside from nature, which I loved. That was cool. And we would just do a lot of that in general, just kind of incorporate it in. So I didn't really realize at the time that it was like a combo type thing. But now looking back, I'm like, wow, that was super cool. Wow, and just like, and they would ask me, how you doing today, Leanne? How you feeling? Happy, sad, thumbs up, thumbs down. And from there, I mean, like even just like draw a smiley face, whatever, just something a little bit, and then get into maybe some of the academia part of it. But it was really cool and I loved it. Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome.
Uh-huh.
That's awesome. And so when you're talking about, I also love that you said that you always wanted to help and
Yeah.
to help and to do something. And I feel like a lot of people that have struggles in their life, it just makes them so empathetic and
Yes.
they want to help in that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about and I find it fascinating
Uh-huh.
that you talk about how you had trouble uh,
Mhm.
speaking,
Yes.
and then you became a speech pathologist. You
Yeah.
studied speech pathology. And so
Yeah.
when you did that, did you find that difficult?
It's interesting. Different aspects of it I did. I really did. Um, and then other parts of it, literally a light bulb went off. Uh, so when I went back to school to be a speech language pathology assistant, and I love the program, by the way, in Sacramento at American River College, the junior college there, they have a phenomenal program. It's state recognized here in California, like they're top notch. And it was interesting to me because, yes, when I went back, parts of it, I was like, okay, like the medical part of it wasn't as hard for me. My dad is a doctor, my mom's a nurse. So hearing medical terminology, I always had that growing up. That wasn't so hard. But when we broke it down into the language area, talking about language and language difficulties, it was a little traumatic for me because it was a little too close to home at times. Uh, and it was difficult for me. But, I talked to my professor and I let her know, look, this is what's going on with me. How do you recommend I learn this? What are some strategies you can give me to help me out? Because this is the thing I learned along the way too. Never be afraid to ask for help because we all need it in one aspect or another. And the fact, and especially with teachers, if they see you're trying and you're asking for help, man, that goes so far. It really goes far. And you actually gain their respect more for doing that than if you don't, to be honest with you. And I used to be so afraid to ask for help. And as I got older and I was getting help and I wasn't so criticized for it, it was actually more of a welcoming thing like, great, you need help. How can I help you? Here you
Mhm.
go. And it was a positive, not a negative association for me. Then I'm like, great, I'm not afraid to ask for help anymore. And so it really helped me a lot too. But a lot of the language aspect of it was difficult for me because there are language disorders too, like, and understanding that and how language works and how to transcribe something because there's a different alphabet too that to transcribe things in terms of the sounds. And so you have to learn that. It's called IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet, and then transcribe that like a language sample. Record it, transcribe it, analyze it, and then try to figure out where an issue might be for someone. That was more difficult for me, but with help and with a lot of hours. I didn't work. I took time off from work. I got loans to help so I didn't have to work financially, so I wouldn't be in any trouble, just so I can concentrate on that and not be pulled because that's what I had to do. Um, so it was hard for me, but I did it.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. I just thought, wow, that's pretty impressive. That you would take that initiative, you know, because a lot of people would just say, well, I had a problem with that, so I probably can't teach anybody else. But you took it head on.
Yeah, I think being a teacher, that's why.
Yeah.
Because even now, when I have students go, I can't do that, and so I'll break down. I'll break it down like I can't open a door. Let's just say, and I'll be like, all right, and I'll talk to them about it. It's like, all right, well, where's the challenge in it for you? Where exactly is it at? And we'll break it down. I'll be like, all right. So, and I'll tell them, I agree with you. You may not be able to open it this way. However, I've noticed you have strengths opening things with your left arm, let's just say. So let's try it with the left arm instead of the right, because maybe there's muscle weakness or whatever. And I'll be like, oh, and then we'll try it. And they're successful. And I'm like, you see, so you can do it. We're just doing it differently. And and again, that's something I've learned because that's why I've taken things a bit more head on because I'm like, all right, well, if I can't do it this way, doesn't mean I can't do it the other way.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really do, and especially with education, because I hated it as a kid. It was so damn cookie cutter, pardon me,
Yeah.
but it really was. And I'm like, one size does not fit all. Come on. And I'm really glad education as a whole has changed. Because when I
Yeah.
was a kid, man, you shut up, you listened, you did what the teacher said, and it was all cookie cutter. That's it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that's changed. Although, all right, I don't want to get political, but just with
Yeah.
the way things are now, they're
Yeah.
different. And I am scared with the way it's going, but it
Well,
has fun as a profession. Yeah.
yeah, because you are
Mhm.
special ed, so you are being affected, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes. Especially because the department they want to cut the department, and then they're putting different pieces of the department in different areas that don't have the expertise. So it really scares me. Like I'm almost to the point where I'm like, look, if you want to do something in education, then get your buns in a classroom, be
Yes.
on the ground, then do it. That's my whole thing. Like with anything, if you want to talk about something, you want to learn something, then know about it first, and don't just be like some weird person out there doing it. Then it doesn't make sense. Like that's how I.
Right.
So yeah, it's a bit concerning.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I bet so. And
Mhm.
especially, because you get close to these children. Or no,
Yeah,
sorry, do you teach children
I
or
did.
older adults?
I did teach children all the way through this last fall of 24.
Mhm.
Well, no, I'm still teaching children. I still substitute teach at my synagogue, but um, currently I'm working with adults 18 and up because my license can go either way. Like basically, I can go from 3 to 100.
Oh,
you know,
that's
Although I did have someone ask me, what if they're over 100? I said, look, that's just the parameters of my licenses. I said, however, if they're like 101, I highly doubt someone's going to come down from the state office
Exactly.
and be like, they're 101. Like,
Yeah.
but you will get those people ask you. I mean, you will. Yeah, so I have been with adults the past year and a half or so, more. And yeah, but both ends of the gamut. And either way, it's still the same in terms of special ed and needs, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you're talking about, sorry, I'm just jumping around because I'm
I
trying
don't
to
care.
think of everything that you said because there's so much.
It's a
Um,
lot. Yeah.
yeah. But when you were talking about asking for help, you
Yeah.
know, I think that's a big thing. People
Mhm.
don't ask for help. I'm totally guilty of that. But
Yeah.
also I am also guilty of not wanting to accept help.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It is real. I'm not gonna lie. It is hard. Like I am fantastic. I will give everyone help, 9,000%. Academically, I don't have issues, but other aspects of my life, yeah, I do sometimes. I do. And I've had people point it out to me. They're like, "You're great at giving it, but not receiving it." I said, "Yeah, I know. It's hard."
It is
And
very.
I really had to. Like, I've even written myself post-it notes I put on the mirror. To be honest with you, because I see it every day.
Mhm.
Um, because it's almost like in some ways we've been instilled to think you're less than. You accept the help, or people will see you as weak or whatever. And I'm like, that's dumb. No, I'm like, I mean, if anything, like I was saying earlier with the teachers too, when you ask for help, it's like, oh, cool, she's human too. She doesn't know everything. Great.
Yeah.
It's been a process for me, but I'm getting there. But yeah, it's not always easy.
Yeah.
Not even me. But uh,
No. Yeah, I think the Western world, like,
mhm.
have isolated ourselves so much. So it's like,
Yeah,
I can do it. I have to be independent or whatever.
yeah,
And then all of the rest of the world
mhm.
are more like community than,
Yeah,
and trying to support each other.
yeah,
And I wish we could do that over here. I
yeah.
don't know why we feel like we have to do things on our own and that's the only way to be strong.
I don't either. I think it's really silly. Like I've built up a community of friends, different areas of my life, and it's interesting to me because people trip out that I do that because I am reaching out, and they're not used to that, and so I have had people kind of question me like, "All right, where's she coming from? Like, what's her angle?" And I'm like, "Other than me wanting to be your friend and just help you in life, nothing, you know."
Yeah.
Yeah, no, really, it is that way, and it's sad. No,
Yeah.
I don't get it. And I think it's more challenging, especially as women. Oh my
Oh,
God, really. I mean, 'cause we're taught to be nurturing. It's really interesting to me because on one hand, I was brought up to be loving and nurturing, help, but also be self-sufficient
mm-hmm.
and make sure you can do things. And so it's kind of like, all right, well, where can we meet in the middle on this? Where I don't have to be a jerk to people, but it doesn't mean I can't ask for help or accept it. So yeah, it's yeah, it's a very interesting dichotomy that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
And working with special ed, do
Yeah.
you find that those individuals, they struggle with asking for help as well? Do you think it's because they know they're different and they're trying not to be different, or
It's both.
yeah.
It gets interesting to me because it depends where in the special needs spectrum you fall. I personally hate labels, but in order to get help, you need to have the label. That's a whole nother thing. But this is the way they do it. So for special education, just so in the school system, so they can put you in the right area, um, they have what's called mild to moderate, which is where I would have fallen, where you're higher functioning, but you still need a little bit of help here and there. And then you have the moderate to severe, which are the really severe kids that are medically fragile, have like a fake arm, let's say. Well, although that would do too much intellectual stuff, but um, someone with CP, autism, really like level 3, the autism spectrum, stage 3, those types of things where they need a lot of help medically, educationally, all of that. Now, the ones that are the mild to moderate, like me, because you're higher functioning, but you still need help in school and you're still below whatever level they decide is grade level, and you need assistance. And so, yeah, so that particular area of education, yeah, they have extremely hard time asking for help. And again, I'm generalizing here because you meet one person. But I have tended to see that more because these are the kids, if you see them out and about in a schoolyard or walking around, you wouldn't think anything. Like, yeah, okay, cool. That's so and so. Hey, how you doing? Whatever. You think they're quote normal, and again, whatever normal is, but okay. Now the moderate to severe, and again, if you one child and child, but I have found in general that a lot of them are not afraid to ask for help, or they're just like look at you like, what do you mean? I don't get it. Like that, not saying I need help, but like what? Like a lot, because I have found them to be a bit more open, at least in our classrooms, because we are so accepting of who they are. And we're like, oh, this is how you learn. Cool. This is how you learn, and it's just, that's just the way it is. Like, we don't, make them feel bad about who they are or their needs. So a lot of the times, yeah. And again, it may not mean I need help, but they'll be like, what? Huh? You're like, okay. And again, not always, because sometimes, and it's interesting too. Sometimes it may not be verbal. They may just stare at you, explaining a concept, that blank glaze, and you're like, gaze. You're like, aha, you don't get it. But they're staring at you, but they're not verbalizing it. So I'm like, you're asking for help, but with your nonverbal. So yeah, that's interesting in that respect too.
Oh yeah. So you have to really be on your toes and be alert and
Yeah.
yeah, making sure that you notice everything.
Yes.
Right.
You
Yeah.
do.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. I have one of my friends, good friend, no, a good friend of mine calls me the FBI because like, yes, I notice things, I remember things, and I'm like, even with her, right? Like, I just start laughing. But yeah, because I'll be like, yeah, do you remember so and so? And this was your body language. She's like, what?
Uh,
I'm like, this is the message you were conveying. And it's like totally funny. And I'm like, well, I have to notice. So there you go.
yeah.
There's that.
Yeah, just picking it up and taking it from work to home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another thing that I found interesting in what you just said
Yeah.
was that the kids that are running around and you'd never know anything. And I think that is a big problem, right? Because, like things with mental challenges
Yeah.
or learning challenges, you don't see that. If someone
No.
has a broken arm, you see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But so how can you suggest that maybe we could pick up on things like that or be empathetic or helpful?
Okay. Yeah. 'Cause again, it is hard to see. So, and again, just overall attitude in general. Just have an open, accepting attitude of all for all. So when these things do happen, then they already know you have the accepting, open attitude. But things to look out for. All right. So, like with me, I'm not neurotypical. I have a lot of issues. Like I drop things a lot. I I've gotten better, but my body doesn't always coordinate. Uh, so neurologically. So sometimes I'll be walking, there's nothing around. I will just trip.
Mhm.
Or like I have my cup and I'm and for those listening, I'm picking up my cup right now, my tumbler, and I want to put it down on the table. in a certain spot, sometimes I'll miss the spot or I'll knock it over, or like my depth perception will be way off. And I'm trying to go up a stair and I might either not lift my leg high enough or low enough. So you might see things like that in school. Or and again, because there's a lot of shame associated with it too when you don't understand and you're comparing yourself to others. And you guys, let's say you're reading out loud or something, and your students have a great flow of speech. It's very coherent. You understand their reading. And you know, a little one will know, oh my gosh, that's not how I read aloud. And so they'll be like, and they get like extremely quiet and they just like they go inside themselves basically. And they don't want to participate in class. And so there's that. That one's super quiet, like I was. I was super, super quiet, would just kind of go into my shell, into myself. You may also notice, and this can also be a child who's bored or has ADHD. It could be either one. There are some similarities in behaviors, but you might see them like trying to teach something, and all of a sudden the kid gets up and starts running around or is, quote, problematic because they're bored. So they might be cutting paper when you guys are reading a book or things like that as well. But again, always try to get to the root of the issue and don't make the child feel bad about themselves. Like, be like, hey, dude, I noticed you're cutting right now. Is everything okay? You know, like trying to make it where it's more of a conversation. And they're like, yeah, I'm bored. Because I'll tell you if you ask 9 times out of 10. Yeah, I was bored. Oh my God, that's way too easy. She's talking about the same thing we talked about 2 years ago, or I mean, whatever. They'll say it, and you're like, oh, okay. And then at that point, you can modify to meet their needs. Like, all right, I'm not meeting their need here. Okay, let's try it this way. You know, because like I said, teaching is not cookie cutter. It's not all one way. It's constantly changing. I constantly change. I've changed midway. I've thrown out lesson plans that I spent like weeks on. And I was like, that's just not working. And I ripped it up in front of the class one day. I talked to him. I said, all right, this is our plan. It is not working, you guys. I ripped it up. I said, let's do it together. And we came up with a lesson together. So, I mean, you just can't stick to, oh my God, it has to be this way. No, it doesn't. I mean, you may have to cover certain curriculum, but 9 times out of 10, most educators, when you've been on the ground, know you have to change it sometimes on the fly.
Yeah. Oh, I love that because I think now we're the times we're in, it seems like people make things binary, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Either this or that, and
yeah,
this is good, this is right, this is wrong.
yeah,
Um, but there's no like middle ground
exactly. Yeah,
where everything is middle ground. You
yeah,
know, like you can't just put somebody in this box over here when there's multiple boxes that they could be, any box that they wanted to, not just that one.
exactly, exactly. And that's the key. And even some students I've had with traumatic brain injury because it affects your memory and that type of thing as well. One day we learned this concept, we got it. The next time it's gone. And I've had that.
Mhm.
And so I've had to say, okay, today we're learning this. And, you know, I'll write things down and I'll put it in a binder and I'll show them points of reference. And I tell people in the family and people that work with them as well, it's here if they forget. So it's not an issue. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've had even same person. One day they get it, one day they don't. So it's always changing. You kind of have to be in the moment and not how it quote should be type
Yeah. Oh, and it sounds to me like you're saying, I've always thought that teachers are the hardest working
thing.
people
Yeah.
in this world,
Oh
and
yeah.
the least appreciated. Um,
Yep.
and it sounds like to me that you're constantly thinking about things, you're constantly have to change things.
Yep.
And yeah, can you talk a little more about being a teacher?
Sure. Um, Okay, I'm not in the general ed class, I'm a special ed, so it's gonna be a little different for me. Uh, but yes, like I have to laugh because I have family members that call me, quote, the bag lady because I have so many bags full of stuff, right? And I'm like, yes, I need all this stuff, believe it or not, because as I was saying, lessons don't always go as planned. You need to have things as backup, right? Um, so yeah, and again, it's day to day and it changes. Now, being a special ed teacher, for me, it's pretty cool because I was known as a specialist, or I am known as a specialist. So I I work for the county
Mhm.
and I'm not now, but I did. I worked for the county. And what was cool is so my central base is the county office and they're contracted with different schools. So you go out to the different schools where your students are at, and you can either go into the classroom and help out in the classroom with the student particular activities. A lot of the times with my students, I would pull them out of the classroom and we would do our activities outside of the classroom.
Mhm.
But again, the thing too with being a teacher, you have to, especially if you're on a school site, things change all the time. They may have a fire drill one day, they may have something go on, where then you have to drop everything and go with the school rule and do what needs to be done. Or you can have a lesson that you've planned out and students having a bad day and it's just not working. It is just not working. Sometimes you just have to drop it and go for a nature walk and make a collage like I did as a kid. Um, but you have to always just in the moment. You really have to be in the moment and be present and be there for whatever kid you're working with. Yeah, I do have, my bag of tricks. I would have always have like markers, papers. I mean the basics.
Mhm.
I would also have an iPad if need be, but I tried really hard not to rely just on tech because some schools your internet was great, some schools it wasn't. And
Yeah.
frankly, if you just rely on tech, you're screwing yourself over. Because
Yeah.
if it doesn't work, you're like, oh shit poopy. I mean, pardon my language. Like, I don't want to swear, so that's why. Um, what do I do? Right.
Yeah.
So, and I always have some sort of book on hand for older kids, younger kids. And again,
Mhm.
because it's amazing what you can just do with markers, papers, pencils, and pens. I mean, you can do the world's your oyster, literally. So you can do so much. Like I've had people write their own narrative, write their own stories, make graphic novels. I mean, whatever their interest is too.
Yeah.
And I love what I do because then I can tie it into their learning. So
Oh, wow. Yeah.
if they need to, like if they have a language issue or if they had like, they need to learn how to take turns, which is
Mhm.
why speech therapists do a lot of games, by the way, because it incorporates a lot of different things in one. Uh,
Yeah.
we've even made our own board game. Uh,
Oh,
Yeah. When Angry Birds was a huge thing like 10, 15 years ago, we did like this huge thing about Angry Birds. So yeah, and practicing certain sounds with it.
uh-huh.
So as long as you don't, again, put yourself in that one box and you're really present and you know that your day is going to change no matter how much you plan for it and you're able to bend and not
Yeah.
be rigid, then you're okay. Because when you don't bend, that's when you get yourself into trouble. And that's where I've seen a lot of teachers just like, that's where they get parental complaints. That's where, because they're not meeting the child's needs because teacher always has to be right. Put your ego aside. That goes goodbye. Out
Yeah.
the door. Honestly, this is not about you at all. And I think a lot of, and I'm not trying to put other people down. But I have seen it where a teacher's hubris just really got in the way. And I was like, whoa. And this was a colleague and a friend, but I was like, oh my God. So yeah, you have to be aware of that too.
Yeah. And it's even while you're speaking, I'm thinking, we can even transfer that to like caregivers and
Yeah,
family members
yeah,
because you're saying about being flexible.
yes,
Yeah.
you do because it's so day to day.
Yeah.
It's so day. You really you got to retrain yourself in the moment versus like big picture, no little picture. In this case, it's going to be more little picture. Celebrate the little wins. If they're huge, big wins, great, fantastic. But no, just celebrate the little in the moment wins because that's going to mean the most to the student and to you because they remember you. I was telling a friend of mine actually yesterday. that before I moved back down to my hometown over a year ago, when I was still in Sacramento, I was at the public library and I had a mask on. I was like, no makeup on, hair in a bun, sweats, the whole thing. I had a student from 20 years ago recognize me.
Oh,
And
wow.
back then I was known as Miss L. So he's like, Ellen, he's screaming it across the Sacramento library, the branch of the library. And I was just like, oh my God. I mean, this kid recognized me. And from the early 2000s. And I was just like, whoa.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was, yeah. And so you never know the impact you're going to make. And it was because I celebrated the little successes in the moment, not these huge way out in the abstract. No. And yeah, you never know because he still remembers me. He talks about things we did. And I was like, wow,
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you bring that up too, because when you're going through something, I feel like we just expect you to get from A up to Z without
Yeah.
going through the other letters
Yeah.
and celebrating the small things like you said.
Yeah.
And that puts our expectations, our disappointments
Mhm.
all in there.
Yeah.
Can you talk more about uh, when children are disappointed or adults, but when people are disappointed with themselves, like how do you get them out of that?
Okay. Yeah. So it has a lot to do with reframing your thinking. And I've had to do this for myself too. I had to do this in order for me to even get through school. Um, you focus on the positives and their strengths. And I used to do this with a lot of my students. We'd make like a little picture or a chart, what I like about myself. And, and if they needed us to help them write it down, make the pictures, do whatever. And I mean, I've had students where we made it really fancy and we put like glitter on frames and like put it up where they could see it, and really reframe how they think. And also on the flip side of that, we would not in terms of what I don't like about myself. No, I never did that. But we would do things along the lines of if basically like if this happens, this is what I will do. So if I drop something, problem. Okay, what's the solution? This is how I take care of it. And we did that too. And I would make little charts and help the parents out and put it in the house, and laminate it, um, as well. So they would realize it wasn't a big deal, if they drop something or if they accidentally spilled something or whatever, or got marker on the chair. I don't know, just to reframe the way of
Mm-hmm.
thinking. And so it's not seen as a negative. It's kind of like, all right, this happened. This is what I'm going to do, along with these sort of things I like about myself and build upon the strength. Because once you build up someone's self esteem, then when these other things happen, it's not that big of a deal. They're like, oh, okay, that's what I have to do. And so then that negative cycle, break it. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to break that negative cycle and that negative way of thinking, turn it into a positive one. So, and it's a slow process. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen if you put these steps in place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So, and I love the way you're talking about breaking things down and
Yeah.
explaining it better because that's so important. But
Yeah.
when you're talking about like you said, getting a marker on the chair, something like that,
Mhm.
you sometimes this makes people have just like a total meltdown.
Yeah.
And then, or if something's not straight or not in
Yeah.
its proper place,
Yeah.
but how do you what are your ideas or techniques on how to get them out of that meltdown stage?
Okay. Um, all right. Well, sometimes people are going to have a meltdown and you can't get them out of it. You just got to let them have the meltdown. I know that sounds You're like, what? But no, you do. Sometimes they need to.
Yeah.
So respect that too.
Mhm.
And I have had classrooms where I'm like, okay, and we had specific corners where they could go to their calm down corner, whatever, and they go over there. And
Uh,
so we would just move the class out into a different section so that and EA would stay with the child and do all of that. But in order, the best way I can say it is okay, so if you happen to see a certain child and you know they have a tendency to have meltdowns. So you start at point A, we were talking about, and you see them upset about something before it gets to the meltdown stage, because usually the meltdown stage takes a bit, not always, but it usually does take a little bit to get there. So if you can nip it in the bud in the beginning, and if someone says they were upset because the book wasn't put back, I've done this before. I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot. Can you please help me put it back? I've told them this. I said, I'm having a bad day. I'm totally brain farting right now, dude. Can you help me out?
yeah.
They make him be my assistant. And I'm like, can you put it back the right way for me? And you know what? And I've asked them, I said, you know what? Can you come to me later? We're going to make a chart and I'm going to put it right here and I'll show them where on the desk. Okay. And I'm going to put it here so I remember. And if I don't remember, you're more than welcome to tell me. And the child felt good because I was empowering him and let him know I heard them. I understood them. I wasn't a negative thing. Because I even told him, I said, I may be the teacher, but dude, I'm human. I forget all the time, man. I'm going to tell you now. And I'm
Yeah.
very human and very honest about it. And they're like, okay, cool. And so that way, but because yes, a lot of the time the meltdown, there's a reason for it and a rationale for it. So if you can try to break it down and try to stop it in the beginning so it doesn't get to that point. Because once they are at that point, you can't do anything because their brain literally shuts down. There is no rhyme and reasoning with them. And I've seen, especially early in my career, some teachers would try to be rational with someone who is literally screaming, having fits, throwing things. I'm like, no, at that point, you have to
Mhm.
get everyone out of the classroom, keep that student safe and the other students safe because their brain shut down. They're not even going to hear you. Well, okay, technically they will in terms of, yeah, their ears will hear the sound, but their brain's not going to understand what you're saying. They're not going to be able to interpret it at that point. You just got to let it go. And then
Mhm.
afterwards, take care of it at that point. Let them calm down, and then you take procedures from there. But no, no, that's why it's always important. It first happening. That's when you tackle it. That's when you deal with it because that's when the child will understand you, hear you, and things done. Once you get up to that point, it's done already. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And I like that you say, like for the book, you say, oh, I did that and I'm sorry. Can you help me? Like empowering the child, like you said.
yeah, yeah. It's
And I feel like that's a good point to
yeah,
do and a good way to handle it because people don't people don't know how to do what you're saying sometimes, the
yeah,
reframing and all these things that you're saying, we just don't think about it.
yeah. Yeah, I've been fortunate because I've been doing this so long. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, like I said, I when I was 13, I started doing it. So it's something that's ingrained and innate in me, and I don't even realize I'm doing it. Like when I'm
Yeah.
awesome, I'm just because I've been doing it so long. But yeah, it is a different way of thinking, a different way of being, and it does take practice. It doesn't come natural
Yeah.
to a lot of people. So yeah, you do have to practice it for a while, but it's one of those things once you do and you keep doing it, then
Mhm.
like me, it just becomes natural and you don't even think about it at that point. You're like, all right, cool. What's there? So yeah.
And then it's like then you can bring it into your life to
Yes.
do for yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, so now you're working with the visually impaired.
Yes, I am.
Now, is that strictly blind or is that progressively?
It's all of it. So blind, so visually impaired, the thing about that label, because that could be anyone that's blind, or it could be someone what's called low vision, where they have some vision, but it's not their full visual field. It could be cloudy. They could have macular degeneration. They could have a detached retina, whatever it might be. Their vision is blurry, but they have some, or they see a little bit, full visual field, whatever. That's low vision. Yes, I do have some completely blind students, but again, you meet one blind person. And even though someone, it may say on their paperwork, right, that they're blind, they still might be able to detect light. And this is even true with Stevie Wonder. Like he can detect shadows or movement. You can still detect that. So if someone moves like a hand in front of your eye, you can't see it, but you're detecting movement.
Oh.
I know people have questioned, is he really blind type thing? That's
Mhm.
why. Yeah, because that term legally blind, it's a term for you to get help
Mhm.
from the school system and in terms of driving DMV, all medically, yes, but it doesn't mean there's nothing there at all. Usually, uh, now some people don't have light perception, and like there is nothing there at all. But it's a spectrum, and it really depends on the person and their body. So it's different for everybody. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. My grandfather was an optometrist,
Oh,
and
okay.
he was really big into the Lions Club.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah.
And so when I was in Virginia,
Yeah.
I volunteered with the Lions Club, and it
Sure.
was so cool. They had
Yeah.
an art exhibit,
Uh-huh.
and the artist actually did things for the blind.
Yeah.
And so the painting that she painted, she
Uh-huh.
went and she made it was a butterfly, and she did
Cool.
all this research on how to make butterfly wings that
Uh-huh.
felt authentic. And then she made so many of them, and she just passed them out to those that were visually impaired so they could understand what a butterfly was.
Oh, isn't that cool? I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
so cool.
It is. It is because it also depends too with people if they had vision before and then it declines versus not having it at all. Um, in terms of their understanding of concepts and things. So yeah, and how that's taught. So yeah, it's that's pretty cool. They have a point of reference there. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So how would you suggest, because I feel like a lot of people
Uh,
wouldn't know what to do or how to help someone that's visually impaired. Uh,
sure.
how would you do that? Because I know they want their independence,
Sure.
and we
Mhm.
want to give it to them. It's not like
Right.
we want to baby them and do
Oh no.
everything for them.
No, no, no.
But
Yeah.
you don't know what to do and you don't know how to do it. So
Right.
give us some tips.
Okay. Well, again, you meet one blind person, you meet one blind person or one visually impaired. Always ask them first. Always. Never. Okay. So when you meet someone with a visual impairment, always tell them you're in the room. Um, introduce yourself to them. Let them know where you're at. If you're standing to their right, to their left, in front of them, always do that. Um, but first and foremost, yeah, definitely ask them, well, what's going to help you? And be honest. Be like, hey, I don't have a lot of knowledge about visual impairment. Can you explain this? What works for you? What can I do to help you? What don't you want me to do? Right?
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, they'll tell you don't just grab them. Okay.
Mhm.
Because, like, they don't know. I mean, that's horrible. Uh,
Right.
so make sure that too. And then always tell them what's going on in the room. It helps if you think of yourself almost like being in a TV show where they have like the narrator come on, right?
Mhm.
Get
Mhm.
that closed captioning where they tell you what's going on.
Oh, okay.
Yourself like that. So you can be like, all right, because what's going on in the room? They don't know. You'd be
Right.
like, hey, we're at let's say we're at school. We're at the auditorium. We're waiting for the kids to come up on stage. Give them as much info as possible because you're the narrator. You're their set of eyes. Think of it like that. And if they're eating or you're getting them food, as well. Be like, or tell them, hey, there's some cookies on the table to the right, and be very specific with your language. Never say something is over there. What do you mean by over there? Where's over there, right?
Yeah.
Um, so be like, yeah, it's to the right of the stage next to a table. There's such and such. Like really, really specific about your language.
Mm-hmm.
Always let them know what's going on. Ask them, because some people do like to be guided by you, where they will hold onto your arm and you walk them to somewhere. And always tell them what's going on again. Um, and tell them, hey, there's some steps coming up. There's 16 steps total. I mean, like, give them as much info as possible
Yeah.
so they have a better idea of what's going on in the environment. And when you're done with a conversation, tell them you're leaving the room. They don't always know you're leaving.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so they're not left hanging and feeling stupid. I mean, that's not fair.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? Great talking to you. I have to go, blah, blah, blah. But again, always ask them, because they're going to know the best what's going to work for them and what doesn't work for them. And people are very, really well intentioned. And a lot of times they will grab their white cane, never, ever, ever, ever grab someone's cane. That's their second set of eyes.
Yeah.
Never do that. Um, and just ask them, if you see them like crossing the street, hey, let them know, hey, I'm next to you. Are you cool? Do you need help crossing the street? And if they say no, they're good, leave them alone. Let them
Yeah.
do their thing, because it's more distracting when you help them
Mm-hmm.
than not, especially if they don't need it. Because they really need all their senses, and they really need to be listening, really feeling. So they make sure they're safe and traveling independently and safely. And if you mess with that,
Mm-hmm.
it's not good. So
Like breaking the cycle or
yeah,
their habit, or yeah, then
yeah,
that's bad.
yeah. So
Yeah. And I love the way you say ask them,
yes,
you know, because that's important for us to ask and just not do it. And it's so
exactly.
easy
Yeah,
for people to just do things,
yes,
but that must be very frustrating for the person and probably scary.
both. It's both, right? And especially, and again, it depends if someone has had vision all their life and now they don't, or it's like declining, versus
Mhm.
someone who hasn't. Because there's so much anger, especially for someone who had their vision and now they don't, because a lot of times they haven't always grieved the loss of that sense. And so, yeah, they're very, very angry. And there's that aspect of it. And you're losing your independence, you're losing your self worth, you're
Mhm.
losing a lot of that in a lot of ways you used to do things. Now you're like, okay, now what the heck do I do? How do I do this now? So, yeah, there's a lot of that involved. And if you add to it by just assuming something, doing it, yeah, you're not helping, you're making it worse. So always ask first. And then if they say, hey, can you get such and such from a table for me because maybe they can't walk along with a visual impairment, whatever it might be. So you'd be like, all right, cool. You want this? You want this? I mean, again, as much info as possible, but always ask first and be respectful, because then you're conveying a sense of respect when you do that. You're like, no, I respect you. I hear you. I want to help you, but in a way that's going to help everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I think that and it's so important that people realize, I feel like, that these are people,
Yeah.
whether they're in special ed, whether they have visual impairments, hearing impairments, they are people.
Right, exactly. And
You know,
that's, yeah, treat others how you want to be treated type thing. So
yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
and, and they have their own things they like. They have
Yeah.
their their favorite foods, their favorite activities, you know,
Right.
thing. And I feel like sometimes people feel like, well, this person can't hear or this person can't see, so they don't like to do these things because they can't. But really,
Yeah.
they can, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Never make those assumptions. They will surprise you.
Yeah.
Trust me on that.
Yeah, I bet you see that often, huh?
I do. That's why I just start laughing. I'm like, nah, I don't make those assumptions anymore. I learned.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, like when I was with the Lions Club, they had a conference of the legally blind, and
Yeah.
they always had their meetings at this restaurant. It was their favorite restaurant, and they it was about 10 or 15 people, and we all went there, and we were all just sitting there talking, laughing, joking, having
Yeah.
our favorite food. It You wouldn't know. If you
Yeah.
were somebody in that restaurant, you would not have known that 75, 80% of that table couldn't see.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
You
So
know,
that's why. Yeah. I agree.
so I think, yeah, that's pretty important.
Yeah.
Uh, well, do you have this has been fantastic, Leanne,
Oh,
and
thank
I
you.
really, I could talk to you forever. It seems like.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I like it. Yeah.
But do you have any last minute things that you want to tell our listeners?
First and foremost, always be good to yourself and love yourself first because you can't help others unless you help yourself. And this is something I struggle with daily. I really do. Um, so do as I say, not as I do, or as I'm trying to do. Like really love yourself and be accepting of others. And if you see someone needs help, ask. And then if they don't, be respectful of it. And
Mhm.
just really just appreciate the fact that we're all human and we all have stuff and we all have struggles, but we're all incredible people and we definitely have something to give this world. Mhm.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes, we
Yeah.
definitely have something to give this world. Yeah, because I feel like if you open yourself up and let yourself, uh,
Yeah.
you will find so much. I feel like people with disabilities or people with challenges, they teach us so much if we would just let.
Exactly. Like I said, they teach me more than I teach them most of the time. So,
Yeah, yeah. Leanne, I want to thank you so much
oh,
for
you're
coming
welcome.
and joining us today and
Yeah,
sharing with us.
my pleasure.
And you're more than welcome anytime to come back
Oh,
and
yeah.
share more with us.
Sure. Just let me know. I'm there. I will do it. No problem.
All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you. And I want just our listeners to
Yeah.
remember that you do not have to suffer alone.
Oh, no.